Hello, here I'll be showing what is possible with a presumably terrible island. This particular island was sent in by a player called Killfish09. He claimed it was a terrible island and that he's a terrible builder. What I saw in this island, however, was wasted potential that he failed to see and a lack of tools being used. So today I'll be narrating this time-lapse video of me transforming this island to what I saw it as the second he sent it to me. Well, I spent a little while thinking about it at first, but we'll get into that later. Just a quick mention before I get started, I am recording this on a potato of a computer, so I apologise for the low frame rate, and I also recorded this in studio, so the screen size and resolution may fluctuate. Alright, so here we start by me removing the ores he placed there. I'm inserting the building kit, which is freely available. This is what he used to make the island, however I'm just copying over a few ores and things to make sure that they're all correct, and it's also just useful to have that there for future reference and building and all that sort of thing. So as you can see, once I generated an idea in my head, I decided to lock the base sand and grass and start moving it over to the outer edge, because there's not enough islands with an outer edge. It's all this is really just a stream of thoughts in my head. It's not like I'm just planning. I have it all planned out. All I do is I start working on it. I have a thought, I do that. I have another thought, I do that. And I keep doing that constantly. So I'm trying to say here is what I'm doing right now is not hard. It's never meant to be hard. This is what most people who make islands for expedition are meant to do. You just insert random stuff and fix them up and make them look good, and make them look expedition themed, and that's it. Because the original islands you sent in, it didn't have parts inside parts. It was just literally just drag and drop, and that's really not expedition themed. Well, I suppose you know how to use them. Anyway, here I am trying to. Well, I just tried to reposition the parts, because as it is an expedition, it can be really annoying. Just how nothing really seems to fit together. You can do that by going to the parts properties, and then deleting the little say 528. Delete that rubbish, like 0.528. Just have the normal stud size, and then resize it from there, so that we don't get all the really high precision stuff. If you really get annoyed by it, then you can go to the stud, stud position, and go from you can go between one stud, or one and a half studs, or off. You can do off to just, if it gets really annoying, you can do that. But it just makes a mess if you do that later on. So here I am I grouped the little pond there with the water and moved it over. The water source itself can actually be resized along with the rocks. Just keep in mind it's iffy because of weekly. I don't know. Anyway, so you can move that and resize it and do whatever the heck you want with it. That's fine. All it has is values inside the water part, and the script does the rest. But as you can see here, you don't want to have really big ridges on the base. You can have it up top, but you don't want players just climbing up normally, or seeing that they can climb up normally, or sitting up there or placing stuff on there. It just causes problems. So here I am trying to make it a little bit more varied. A lot of the times it's just flat terrain. You want to try and avoid that. Just having a flat base just looks awful. I'm pretty sure you can agree that the current caves in the expedition are just bad because of it. So I'm just right here. I don't really actually have a plan. I know it may seem strange, I'm just making an island, but I had this image in my head. When I first saw the island, I thought, I could probably do something with this. I spent about 5 minutes thinking about what it could be, and I had this idea, which is the end product. And I just kept that image in my head when I'm building this. And I had a little idea here, or later on anyway, where you could probably build a ladder and go up through the roof in this little area here, which didn't actually work out because, well, the point is that just just keep these ideas flowing in your head. It doesn't matter if you don't have many of them. It doesn't matter if you don't have any of them. Just try to keep them flowing in your head as much as you possibly can, because that's what these islands are made of. They're made of tiny, tiny ideas that seem to work together. Anyway, here I am. I'm that big block there. I'm hoping to make that a ledge for people to build stuff on, but it doesn't actually work out because the roof just gets too big and yada yada yada. But here you can see I'm readjusting the walls. You really, really want to avoid just having really big flat walls if you can avoid it. It's alright to do it at first, because I mean, that's what you have to do at first, but avoid it in the end product because it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It looks awful. I'm sorry if anyone has made islands like that and thinks they're good, but it's just awful. Anyway, here I'm also adding a little detail, which is going on to what I just said. You can do this to break it up. You just have a few little parts here and there. It doesn't have to be much. I know it looks terrible at the moment, but later on you can see it doesn't take very much detail. I spent about an hour on this island, making it look like going from the first basic island to the really detailed one later on. And here you see when you're doing the roof. Probably not a good idea to do the roof in this stage, but well, that's alright. Sorry, I cut it there for a second. I just reviewed it and I noticed I say island instead of island or island. Apologies. I'm trying to get the point across rather than think about my punctuation and grammar. Anyway, as I was saying, it's alright to do the roof. It's alright to do any stage at any point. Really, it's just easier to do the base walls first. It doesn't have to. You don't have to do the height at the first as you do them. Okay, you do it in stages. You can actually do this in 5-minute intervals if you wanted to. You do like 5 minutes now, 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, and so on and so forth. But it's all about keeping an idea in your head of what it could look like and going for that image in your head as much as possible. And trying not to make it look too detailed while still making it look somewhat detailed. And too detailed is mostly because I want more islands rather than really complex, or really few really complex islands. More of that instead of too many parts in the world, although that is a problem. It's not the biggest problem. But as to go back to the video, what I'm doing here, I just had to cut there actually. When I'm recording this, I'm just limit recording, which I have to do with low frame rate. And as soon as it goes up in frame rate, I'm thinking, oh, this is good. I don't even realise. I actually missed about 5 minutes there, I think it was. But yeah, so I'm continually resizing here now, which is really all it is. You're just copying and resizing, and copying, resizing, copying and resizing, and rinse and repeat. However, I'm trying to keep the basic idea of what he had in my mind. So I'm not trying to say that this is entirely new creation. This is entirely new creation of mine. I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say that this is what he could have done if he had the inspiration to do so. I merely had that inspiration to do so, and anyone can do this, technically possible. But someone else can copy this in their own little way, someone else can remake it in their own little way, someone else can make something entirely different that looks just as good in their own little way. So I'm trying to teach. The point of this video is not to say, hey, look how good of a builder I am, or how bad of a builder I am, depending on how opinionated you are. The point is to make it show what building skills are required for making an island. I know a lot of people will be confused about what things are. They don't even know what screen tearing is. Screen tearing, by the way, is, which you should see later on, is when two parts are inside each other and the two faces are in the exact same position on the screen. So they both fight each other to try and be on the screen at the same time. That shows bad building. You want to avoid that at all costs. I know Wheatley's has a lot of that in the world, and I got to fix that later on. But the point is to learn from this video how to build an island as much as you possibly can. Whatever you learn now, even if it's just one thing, it'll make your next island better. I don't care if you learn all of it, or I don't care if you learn none of it. I don't care if you watch this and just for fun. I just want you to see this video, and I'm hoping that you can learn something new that will help you in your next island. island, or whatever you want to pronounce it as. Now this is sped up by about 8 times, so I probably don't have much time left. Yeah, I got a fair bit. It's alright. Um, so it's really just a matter of refinement and how much you want to refine it. I mean, I know there's still a fair bit I could have done on here, but there is a certain point where you have to say, this is refined enough, this is good enough, and I'll send it to EB, or send it to myself, or whatever. This is from your point of view. You can make this island as big as you want. You can make your island as big as you want. My island rules are very limited. It's just as long as you don't make it mainland sized, make it about half of the mainland size, absolute maximum, right? And try not to make really tiny islands. I will be making something along those lines perhaps in the future, but try to avoid making something really too tiny, okay? And try to avoid having the same size as all the other islands. It doesn't look good. It looks boring. Here you can see I'm just about finished. I'm hoping I'm going really fast, so I'll probably re-upload this if it's too fast. Here I am testing it. So I'm walking through. You got to see that rock there. It's really good for seeing how big the player is, because the player is just a little bit bigger than that rock. So you can use that rock. Okay, never mind this. Use that rock to determine your size of a player, and just move that around, see how big things are, because a lot of the times you do have scale issues. But yeah, don't worry about plants or anything. Don't worry about grass. Try to avoid grass on the top. There was one island where I have that was just testing. Yeah, through here, I did change the lighting as well. I should probably mention that. Lighting can be very, very critical, because you don't know what the exact lighting is in game. But just have a bright light, and using a new place like this is very helpful, because then you don't have any lag at all, and that's frame rate drop. Lighting can allow you to see all those little hidden places when you're building it at first, but then try to change it to a slightly darker, more shadowy lighting later on, so that way you can see what it will actually look like in game. But for the moment, have the lighting really bright while you're still building. It'll help you see things. But as you can see, I'm moving the water now. I spend far too much time on this water. Hopefully when you have this water, when you have this pond, you won't have to do so much fiddling around. I will fix the pond up after I get this video done. But yeah, you can restart the water, as I said before. Doesn't matter. It's based on value. It'll detect the value on how the minimum and maximum water. The script's all in game. You don't have to worry about that. So all you have to do, right, is put in some ores, put in some rocks, put in some grass and island. Just make that. There's no scripts. There's no complexity. You just make it. There's nothing difficult about this, technically. You can see here. This is the island I made from his island. This is the inspiration I had. This is not exactly what I mentioned. This is what I imagined when I first saw his island. Well, a little while anyway. Don't give up, is what I'm trying to say here. Never give up at thinking, oh, this is terrible. Okay? It's not a good thing to do. So I made this island because this is what I saw his island could be. He could have made this island something completely different if he put more effort into it, or if he knew what some of the other tools did. This is entirely possible. I don't care what skill level you have at building. This is simple stuff. You move some parts around, you move some rocks around, you resize them. There's nothing complex about it. I know it's a fair bit of time consumption, but there's nothing you can do it. I believe in you. You, the player, you, the builder, or if you don't want to build, if you are building an island like this, or building an island for expedition, you can do it. I believe in you. Right, now go back to the video. I haven't got much time left. And as you can see here, I'm copying the ores, and it's sort of the same position as he had them before. Just a little ode back to what the original island used to look like. and I was planning to have that little space there for players to build, but I figured it's probably best to have the ores there instead, just to have a little sectioned off area, because I know, wait, when you're building, it's also important, instead of just thinking about what the island could be like, it's also important to be the player in the game and imagine what it'd be like to play the game on this island. And that's not explaining it very well. Just imagine you're playing the game, and what would you want this island to be like? Is what I'm trying to say. So that's what I'm doing with those ores. So if I'm a player, I'd probably want to section off those ores with a gate or a wall to stop anyone else from stealing the ores or coming to the cave for those ores. Because I know a lot of players will come into a cave that you own just for the ores. So if you seal them off, all of them, if you seal off the important ones, then there will be no reason for the players to come in. You can stop those wandering people that just don't have any interest in fighting. They just want to take the ores. Okay, so that's what I had here. That's the thought I had here. And this little section off to the right and the left, I'm going to be using later on for plants. That's something entirely for me to do, not for you to do. Actually, here's the original island, as you saw before. This is the inspiration I got it from. Okay, alright, so that's the end of the video. I ran out of footage. Hope you enjoyed. I've been blabbering on for long enough, and I'll see you in game, or see you at some of your islands. I eagerly await to see them. Alright? Okay, right.